Good morning, students. Once again, I welcome you all on my YouTube channel. Today, we are going to study the fourth poem of Flamingo. The name of the poem is A Thing of Beauty. A Thing of Beauty is written by John Keats. Now, let me give you a brief introduction about the poet John Keats. So, John Keats was born in 1795 till 1821 was a British romantic poet. Although trained to be a surgeon, Keats decided to devote himself wholly to poetry. Keats secrets his power to sway and delight the readers lies primarily in his gift for perceiving the world and living his moods and aspiration in terms of language. John Keats was an also English romantic poet belonging to the second generation of romantic poets along with Lord Byron and P.B. Shelley. Although his poems were not generally well received by critics during his lifetime, his reputation grew after his death, and by the end of the 19th century, he had become one of the most beloved of all English poets. He had a significant influence on a diverse range of poets and writers. Now I will give you outline of the poem. A Thing of Beauty is an excerpt from Keats' first epic poem Endymion, a poetic romance. The poem is based on a Greek legend in which Endymion, a young shepherd and a poet who lived on Mount Latmos, had a vision of Cynthia, the moon goddess. The enchanted youth resolved to seek her out and so wandered away through the forest and down under the sea. The theme of the poem is nature, beauty, and youth. Keats loved beauty to the extent that he almost worshipped it. This excerpt voices the poet's eternal love for beauty. Now, I will give you line to line explanation. A thing of beauty is a joy forever. The poet here says that a thing of beauty can give us eternal joy, everlasting joy, permanent joy. The poet here speaks of the permanent nature of the beautiful things which give us eternal joy. It is the first line of John Keats' first epic poem, Endymion, a poetic romance, and of the poem A Thing of Beauty. This line is dramatically very significant because it is multi layered in its meaning. It explains the effect of beauty on the soul. Beauty heals the negative impulses of our life. It relieves us from being weighed down by worldly worries. Keats, as a romantic poet, brings out the belief in the power of nature to heal and give happiness. A beautiful thing is an object of joy because it gives us mental peace and makes us happy. Its value lies in its effect on us, and it never breeds a sense of nothingness. It will never diminish with the passage of time. So, the first line signifies the importance of beautiful things in the nature. So, the poet once again he says that a thing of beauty can give us eternal joy, everlasting joy. Here he talks about the permanent nature of beautiful things which give us eternal joy. Its loveliness increases. The loveliness of all the beautiful things never fades from our imagination. Rather, it increases because our imagination adds new colors to it. Here, the loveliness of all the beautiful things keeps on increasing and never fades away. It enhances the everlasting beautiful sight of the beautiful things is stored in our memory. They give us peace. It will never pass into nothingness. So a thing of beauty never passes into nothingness. Nothingness means die. All the beautiful things of nature will never dies. It always remains fresh in our memory. So here nothingness means dies. So they give us peace, but will keep a bower wide for us. Bower means a shady place under the tree. Here the poet compares a thing of beauty with a bower, a shady place under tree. So here a thing of beauty serves the purpose of a quiet bower for us. We can move into this shady place under the tree whenever we like. In other words, in moments of sadness, we can recall the beauty of that object and be happy again. So here they give us peace just like a quiet, shady place give us a sleep full of sweet dream. So the it will keep a bower quiet for us and a sleep full of sweet dreams and health and quiet breathing. Breathing means peace. So the memory of beautiful things will lead us to gentle sleep full of sweet dreams, and it will keep us healthy by body and give us peace of mind. A sound sleep result in the good health of our body and mind, as it provides us tranquility, calmness and mental peace. Therefore, on every morrow are we wreathing a flowery band to bind us to earth. So here morrow means every morning, wreathing means weaving. So therefore every morning we bind ourselves, we wave flowery band to bind ourselves to the earth. Morrow means every morning, wreathing means weaving, flowery band means strip of flower. So here the poet says that when we wake up the next morning after a sound sleep, all the beautiful memories of our sweet dreams help us to strengthen our bond with earth. That is why the poet feels that every morning we prepare a wreath of flowers that bind us to earth more strongly. So here the poet says that it is the beauty alone that keep us going on this earth. Beauty is a kind of flowery band that bind us to this earth. It is beauty that keeps us moving from one to the next day. Spite of despondence, of inhuman dearth, of noble natures. Spite of means malice, evil. Despondence means dejection, depression, hopelessness. Dearth means scarcity. So here the poet says there is so much to grieve in the world that but for beauty it would be impossible to live here. So there is depression and dejection all around. The people are unhappy. There are very few people who have a really noble heart. There is a lack of nice people. Man's life is all gloomy. So here hopelessness, sadness and lack of noble ways are a part of human life. Life is full of trials and tribulations, lost faith and disappointment, which results from our own doing. So, in spite of despondence, the inhuman dearth, of noble nature, of the gloomy days, of all the unhealthy and over darkened ways. So, here inhuman dearth means shortage of humanity, noble people. Noble nature means nice people. So, in this world, there is a shortage, there is scarcity of humanity. Nice people. Over darkened ways means very mysterious things are happening and unhealthy. So the people on the earth, they are leading unhealthy life, and their life is full of evil, malice. So there are many mysterious things happening that man fails to understand in spite of all his attempts. So we harm ourselves by following unhealthy and wicked path. So made for our searching. So we are searching for a noble spirited man. Yes, in spite of all, some shape of beauty moves away the pall from our dark spirit. Pall here means boredom, and dark spirit means sad or dejected heart. So here the poet says that, but in spite of all these unhealthy ways of man continues to live on this earth. The poet says that it is only because there are some beautiful things. Beautiful things are found in some shape, in different shape in the world. It is the beauty of these objects that takes away the gloom, the depression, the dejection, sorrow from our sad hearts. So here the poet says that, but in spite of all these, some wonderful sights of nature help us to sad and grim thoughts. They remove the veil of gloom, bringing about hope and optimism in our lives. Such the sun, the moon, trees old and young, sprouting a shady boon for simple sheep. Here, the poet lists some of the beautiful things that add some charm to the otherwise sad life on this earth. He says that there are the beautiful sun and the moon. There are big and small trees that give pleasant shade for the gentle sheep. Sprouting means producing. Shady boon means shady place that are no less than a boon. So for a simple sheep, simple means innocent and innocent hearted sheep. The small tree or a tree, old or young, is a blessing because it gives shadow to the sheep. So here the poet again he lists out these objects of beauty like the sun, the moon, the trees old and young, producing a blessing for a simple sheep. Such are daffodils with the green world they live in. Then there are the lovely daffodils with all the green trees, with the green world in which they live in. With the green world means, and also the green grassland. So the poet here talks about the lovely daffodils, flowers with all the green world in which they live in. So the poet then he talks about the greenery surrounding the daffodils and clear rills that for themselves a cooling covered make against the hot season. Rills means stream, small brooks. Covered means area of thick low bushes or trees among which animal hide. Gains means against to save themselves from. So there are clear streams. The poet also he adds the list of thing of beauty like there are clear stream, brooks that make cooling cover along their course to protect themselves from the hot season. Rich the mid forest break, rich with a sprinkling of fair musk rose blooms. Rich with here means break means marshy land thickly overgrowth with one kind of plants. Rich with looking beautiful because of and sprinkling a small amount. So here the poet talks about he adds the beautiful things like the sun, moon, then daffodils, then streams which quench the thirst of the traveler, the clear stream, cool and clear stream which provide respite in the heat of summer. And he also adds the bushes growing in the forest with musk roses blooming amidst them. They are the all eternal source of joy and pleasure. So the poet in the end of the stanza he said that there are low lying plants in the middle of the forest with the lovely white roses growing among them here and there. And such too is the grandeur of the doom. Grandeur means glory, doom means death. So the poet adds further to his list of beautiful things. According to John Keats, there is beauty even in death. He finds beauty in imaginary stories people have made about our dead ancestors who were deemed as heroic and mighty. So the poet continuing with his list of beautiful things, the poet says that we imagine magnificent rewards by God on the day of judgment for those mighty men of the world. Mighty man means the great and powerful man of the world. Those who are now lying dead in their graves. So, whatever achievements made by the powerful people, their achievement is also glorious, inspiring to us. So, we think of those grand rewards and are filled with happiness. So, the people, those who sacrifice their lives for the betterment of the people of the world, so they will get reward from the God. So such too is the grandeur, the glory. Even the death is also glorious for them. We have imagined for the mighty dead. So we think of those grand reward and are filled with pleasure. It gives us source of joy and pleasure. All lovely tales that we have read or heard. Then there are lovely tales of olden days that we have heard or read. So the poet goes on to say that all the lovely stories that we have heard can also be placed among such things of beauty, as these stories have a sublime effect on the human spirit, as these stories inspire us to lead our life in a noble ways with compassion. And endless fountain of immortal drink pouring unto us from the heavens brink. Immortal drink means nectar, a drink that gives us heavenly joy. Here, the poet has compared a thing of beauty with a nectar, a drink that gives heavenly joy to the people. Heaven's brink means the extreme edge of heaven. Here, the poet calls all these beauties an endless fountain of immortal drink that heaven itself is pouring down for us. In other words, God Himself has created these beautiful things for us so that we can derive joy from them during our life on this earth. They can give us as much joy as angels derive from the immortal drink of heaven. So, the last line, this line is very important, that beauty is everlasting as it creates an eternal joy in the beholder. It is an endless fountain of joy that is immortal as a drink pouring down on us as the water of joy from the edge of heaven's cliff. The eternal joy is like a blessing of heaven on earth. The poet here says these words in order to explain the nature of the pleasure and joy that is created when a beautiful object is seen by beholder. The poet here affirms the truth that beauty is not ephemeral but eternal. The pleasure we receive in perceiving a beautiful object is a gift that is worth treasuring. As the joy removes the gloom means despair, dejection, disappointment from our sad spirit, dark spirit in our mind. So I hope you understood this poem. Thank you.